Welcome to Access, brought to you by Crypto.com. Matthew, Lloyd and Damian Barrett with you. Massive show today. Lloydo, I get the feeling you are going to come off the very long run on this issue here of AFL tunnelling. You were big on that last week. You set the agenda on it. You're going to do so again today. But what were your takeouts out of the weekend?
My takeouts, Damo, are that Melbourne have the same issues as they have had the last few years, and that's that they can't score inside 50. So they dominated those same inside 50 issues. So they had 63 to 45 entries. Could not have done any more. The in midfield have gone, Petrarca, Oliver, but they still can't score. It's an issue. St Kilda, that was as damning as Richmond's performance for mine. How bad they were. They look slow. They look reactive. Some may say unfit, so it's a real problem for them. Bottom four looking likely for St Kilda the way they played. And what a wake-up call for Sam Mitchell and the Hawks. Don't think it's just going to happen. You have a target on your back at Hawthorn.
Yep. I love what Collingwood's going to do with Dan Houston and Josh Dakosh across half-back. That is going to be the best double whammy combo across half-back in the competition this year. Watch this unfold. Richmond's just got way too deep. Now, I know some people endorse what they've done with those draft picks, but I don't. I think it's going to be a disastrous year for the coach, Adam Muse. And the Bulldogs now have got an injury crisis that may actually mean they've got nothing to lose. We'll talk about the Bulldogs in a moment in a big picture perspective, but their injury worries are a major concern, as they are at another club, Lordo. We look at here because he is the biggest name on the injury list at the moment. He's out for 6, and I reckon you even add 2 weeks to that with his calf.
Yeah, I think about it now. They let Bailey Smith left, so it's not their fault, but they let McRae and Daniel go. So they are as thin as it gets through the midfield, so it's an issue for them, and it's a tendon calf injury, so that could be 6 to 8 weeks was a real problem for them. And Errol Goulden, what a loss he's going to be. I think they can cover it more than the Western Bulldogs. I actually like them. We'll get to our ladder predictions later on, but massive loss. Yep. But I think they can cover him with the depth.
It could be half a season with what he had sustained on the weekend just gone. You've got issues with Zach Butters at Port Adelaide with a knee, Charlie Curnow with a knee as well, Hayden Young, Max King. There's names everywhere where seasons are being adversely, potentially shaped before they even begin. A positive on this space, though, was Christian Petrarca returning. First game since the damage sustained in King's birthday last year with what he did yesterday against the Dockers. The very first touch of the game, Lordo, no surprise.
33 disposals, 9 clearances. He was wonderful, but again, I think they're going to be asking too much of him. So you need him forward, you need him in the midfield. Van Rooyen went out in the first minute of the game, so they lack so much forward. So I think he's going to have to spend 50% of his time forward, but good to see him back after the trials and tribulations he had last year.
The man he just passed it to there in one of those shots was Clayton Oliver. He looked as though he was resembling something similar to that superstar who won 4 best and fairest, but it's still a long way to go with him.
Yeah, he was very good, Clayton Oliver. Couldn't have done any more, kicking 3 goals.
The most intriguing storyline going into the season from a coach perspective is the Luke Beveridge situation at the Western Bulldogs. He and club have chosen to leave him out of contract for the remainder of the year. I quite like it, Lloyd. I think it could sharpen them up, but it is an interesting one given he's the only coach out of the 18 to be in such status.
What do you think he needs to do, Damo, to coach in 2026?
To me, it would need to be the miraculous top 4 finish, which I just don't think he's going to be able to do with the list he's got and the injuries that he's sustaining. And this is why I also think it's the layer of intrigue on this is because of the injury problem they've got. They've lost their best captain, their best player in the club's history in Marcus Bontempelli, and he's going to be out for at least 6, maybe even 8. You've got Treloar out, Jones out down back. It's just a real problem there. Waitman's out for a long period of time. Jamari Ugle-Hagan, we don't even know whether we're going to see him at all. And then there's 2 other names down the bottom there, Jason Johannes and Ed Richards, who is a line ball chance for the opening round, but it might just take off the win-loss pressure for him because they've got tough matches. North Melbourne, Collingwood, Carlton, Freo and Brisbane. Without those players, they're not winning any of those games.
Could you see them looking at that, though, and saying he couldn't even get started with the injuries he's had and give him another opportunity, or still it doesn't matter, he's got to be top 4?
I think now they've got to basically opening round or round 1 without making a decision. They'll let it play out. Yep. Now, you're massive on a certain player at Essendon, and you're making him this week's Crypto.com bold play of the week.
I am, Damo, and you've got to give some time to these kids. So I'm just saying over the journey of his career, but my bold call is, could Isaac Kako be the best small forward at Essendon since Darren Buick? So that's over 25, 30 years. So here's Darren Buick. So I love playing with this man, Darren Buick, because he didn't pass all the time, I must admit that, Darren Buick, but he was a wonderful player. Like, he stood up through countless, 93 premiership, 2000 premiership. I'll never forget the centenary game. He kicked 9 goals, coming back from an ACL injury. He was amazing. So Tip and Woody's been good, but I don't think he stood the test of time, Tip and Woody. But this man, Isaac Kako, he's a player that the club hasn't had for a long, long period of time. And Small forwards, you have to go early on. You see Keziah Pickett, you saw Cody Waitman. The Bombers had to go early on Kako. This one, he just knew where to be.
Nick Watson's another one that was taken early.
Early, yeah. So you just got to do it on them. And the
Can
Bombers,
you see enough in him to put this call on him without playing one senior game, Lotto?
Well, I just feel like it's been that thin, Damo, over the years that I think the call is there that he's a pure footballer and he's going to be a 200-game player.
Yep. Now, coaches speak in all sorts of tongues and languages, and we've got to try and decipher it as the year unfolds. And Sam Mitchell, Lordo, started the year, as he finished last year, very, very bluntly.
Well, we're lucky, actually. The scoreboard looks like it does. They've been far better than us, and we needed a bit of a shock to the system that first part of the game. We looked a little bit better that quarter, but we've got some work to do. I don't think it matters too much if we don't try a bit harder and put in a bit more effort than we did that half.
Yeah, I'm just winning respect for him every time he coaches, Sam Mitchell, because he's not sugarcoating anything to the media or his players. And I even read today that Dylan Moore said he's told them all, if you're not fit, you don't play. If you're not fit, you won't have a career for very long. So he's not lowering the standards at all. He knows what's coming from the opposition.
It is blunt more than any other coach. Can he do that because he tells them that first?
Absolutely. He was like that as a player. I don't think he had a heap of mates as a teammate in terms of because he just called it as he saw it, and that's what he's doing as a coach.
He just talked about another teammate of yours in the past, Darren Buick. Damien Hardwick was also a former teammate. Lotto, he can find a way to sook it up. Can you maybe just lighten him up? This is after a practice game on the weekend in a season in which he's meant to be making finals.
And it's hard because round zero comes in and then some sides have got 2 weeks off, but we just got to put our heads together and figure out what we can do and get a little bit tighter. You know, even from our counterparts, Sydney can't get home tonight, so they've got to, they play Saturday, I think, and they're stuck here tonight. So, we just got to get the scheduling better. They've got one job, the AFL, let's get it sorted out.
Another loss for the Suns. I don't read anything into it. It's a practice match loss, but he can find a way to look at the negatives out of certain situations, Lotto.
Yeah, he would have been shattered with the injuries they copped on the night, but yes, I think they're trying to promote football in the northern states, so he's just got to embrace what the scheduling was.
All right, we're going to give you the new ball now, even though it's late into the show. You set the agenda 2 weeks ago when you had some really strong things to say about the injury sustained by Lawler against Reb and Ginbey. The AFL chose to look at it and disregard it. Now, there have been 2 more incidents of this tunnelling nature from the weekend's matches. There's a problem now on the eve of the season with the mixed messaging.
Damo, I think they've embarrassed themselves, the AFL, and it's only going to get worse for them. So I tweeted for the first time in a year. That's how fired up I was about Reuben Ginbey and what he did. He shouldn't be playing. He shouldn't have played on the weekend. He knew what he was doing, pushing Lawler under the football.
You said he should have been suspended instantly.
Should have been. I'd give him 3 weeks for that and make a statement on Ginbey that you cannot tunnel or push a player into another player. And that's what he did. And that's what he did. And then
so the match review office looked at that, said nothing to see here, move on. We get to basically the very next game.
Yeah, and this isn't as bad, Curtin, because he's using his shoulder, not his hands.
But he's still pushing Starcevic.
He's still pushing him under the football. So that's borderline, that one. But still, you can see it's a problem because Ginbey got away with it.
So would you suspend him or fine him?
I'd give him a fine, Damo, on that one. But the next one, Jordan Sweet, we have another injury where Owens is going to miss a lot of football for St Kilda, shoulder. But again, it's just the forward just shoving, the sweep shoving his player under the football. That's kamikaze type stuff. Like Owens has no chance. He's like a human missile there where he's just going into the back of the player there, Bergman.
So if you're Michael Christian, what are you putting on that?
He's getting another 2 to 3 weeks for that as well. So just not good enough.
So do we need to, a week after we probably should have as an industry, make the statements right now before we get to the proper home and away season?
100% we should.
Yeah.
So
otherwise there's a major problem.
Put your hand up and say, we got it wrong. We realise it's an issue that's crept into the game. These players must go from here.
Yep. North Melbourne, Lordo, a team that has won 15 matches in 5 seasons. I'm just putting them on notice now. Alistair Clarkson, 3rd year, sliding doors on the weekend. You wanted to raise this because you want to hold me to account, and that's fair enough too. But
in a positive way here, because you said if the club is ever going to return to something resembling success, it cannot allow itself in 2025 to again be satisfied with 9 losses. That's North. It was another nice loss. I know you're not saying it about the weekend's game.
No, I'm not.
But I am in a sense. You've got to know how to win and learn how to win, even in practice games. And how did they lose this game to the West Coast Eagles?
Yeah.
Turnovers, butchering it in the back half. Yeah, I'm with you on this. What do you expect from Alistair Clarkson and the Roos?
Well, look, it's got to be a 7, 8, 9 match season win-wise because we saw what Hawthorn did out of nowhere last year and even beginning the season 1-6. So It's time, and there's nothing to be gained out of losing nicely anymore. Because these players are having careers that are just losing careers.
And a lot of them don't know how to win, and that's where you got to even win them in the pre-season.
Major problem looming in the southeast Queensland part of the world for non-football reasons, but it does impact potentially the opening of the 2025 season. Cyclone Alfred looming, and look, this is a story that's going to be changing regularly, Lloyd, in the lead up to it. But as we speak here on this Monday morning on Access, it's probably line ball. This game actually goes ahead because of the potential dangers associated.
Is the biggest likelihood when they both have buys in round 3 that the game would go there?
If they do decide not to play it, yes, it is. Now, prediction season, let's face it, Lloyd, it's guest season as much as prediction season. We just thought we'd have a look at our top 8s by way of prediction, and we're not too dissimilar in what we've got up our way of thinking. I really like Fremantle. I'm not convinced they're going to embrace this opportunity they've got, but I think if it all comes together, they're going to be top 4. I just got Hawthorn down the lower ends of the 8. I know that they surged and they're going to start the season second favourite for the 8, but I still think they're still a work in progress. But they're pretty similar. You've had a similar look at the...
Yeah, the only change for mine is I've got Port Adelaide in and Fremantle out. So Fremantle could embarrass me, but I'm not buying what everyone else is over this off-season, that they should be top 2, top 4.
And we've both got Collingwood in,
yes.
And I've got them a lot higher than you, but I love what they're doing. I love the all-in nature.
I am too. I was tempted to put the Gold Coast in, but still don't trust them enough. And I've got Hawthorn to continue on. And I think with the change from Longmire to Cox could be the difference to finally get the Sydney Swans to win the Holy Grail, and that's a premiership. I think he's going to tighten up.
No trauma.
No trauma. I think John Longmire was very much a man-on-man defence. He's going to turn them into a team defence, which they need, and I think a new change, Tom McCartan going forward, I think it's going to help the Swans as well.
I've got the Cats as the flag prediction or guess at this stage. Thanks for watching Access. It's always, as always, for crypto.com, and we'll be back next week after opening round.